Hi Krishna, welcome to everyone. Happy to have you here. This is first day of December, and this is our Gita Jayanti month, celebrating the appearance of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield. And all over the world, there'll be thousands and thousands of Bhagavad Gitas distributed in every language, practically speaking. So we're celebrating this month, Gita Jayanti month, and along with a global marathon of distribution of tens of thousands of Bhagavad Gitas, which will uplift the planet. If there's anything that can uplift the planet, it's Krishna, and Krishna is no different from his instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. So by the Bhagavad Gita being distributed, recited throughout the world, then actually everyone will benefit. Everyone will derive spiritual upliftment to some degree. So welcoming you to this event and hoping you'd like to be part of it in some way. Including today hearing a little bit about the Bhagavad Gita, the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, and you'll be hearing probably more about it during the month. So we'll do some invocation prayers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shanyavari Paschatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur-millitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamaya Rati Swaparantikam. So I'd like to humbly beg the mercy and blessings of our lordships here, Sri Srila Govinda, and our Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, all the devotees, to speak something Krishna conscious on this special introduction, December 2024, for the Bhagavad Gita's appearance in this world thousands of years ago. Actually, Bhagavad Gita, the instructions of Krishna are eternal. They have no real beginning, no real end. Krishna is not different than his instructions. So God has no actual beginning or end, nor do we as spirit souls have any beginning or end. Only the material has beginning and like material body, material world. So Bhagavad Gita in that sense is eternal. And in the sense of being composed, compiled by Srila Vyasadeva about 5,000 years ago. So we have some time period like that available in the so-called written form. And so Bhagavad Gita has been spoken by Krishna for millions and millions and millions of years to the sun god and Manu and his son and on through the whole disciplic succession. So this is eternal knowledge. And something that's eternal must be special. It's got to be. It's eternal. How could it be existing eternally and not be special? Has to be special. So this is a special month, and it's always, special. Every day is special. But when you think about it, like during Diwali, during Kartik time, we had our special festivals, and during Janmashtami. So it's really nice to acknowledge the different time periods of the year and see the significance of them. So this particular month has many, many different significances, but this is one. And so we're this month here at the temple going to do a recitation on the actual day of the Gita's being spoken, which is December 11th. It's the second Wednesday of the month. And there'll be most of the day recitation here in the temple room, probably starting around 9 or whatever, something like that. So we invite everybody to come or be part of it. I don't know if it's on Zoom, but please come. And if you can't, then you can recite Bhagavad Gita at home. That would be really nice. So that day is the 11th. So this particular Bhagavad Gita, as it is, that Srila Prabhupada translated for us, is distributed around the world in just about every major world language. There must be like hundreds of thousands of them that are distributed already around the world. So sometimes people would ask Prabhupada, why are you bringing forth another edition of Bhagavad Gita? There's already hundreds of them. And Prabhupada would say, well, from what I've seen, I have not seen pure devotees coming from other editions, from the renditions of the Bhagavad Gita by those who are not presenting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a pure way. So I want to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any mundane interpretation, just as it is, pure, as Krishna is speaking. So in this way, Bhagavad Gita as it is was given to the world by Srila Prabhupada in this particular rendition. So that's valuable. This is a presentation of Krishna as he is. It's very, very special to see the Supreme Lord as he's speaking, without any addition or alterations, additions, subtractions, speculations, opinions, interpretations. No, it's as it is. So it has a very powerful effect on the heart. Anything that's pure will have a powerful effect on the heart. So Srila Prabhupada, being a pure ambassador from Goloka Vrindavan, a eternal, intimate associate of Radha and Krishna, has come to this world because Krishna asked him to come and present these books. And so therefore, Krishna is orchestrating all of this through Srila Prabhupada as a great acharya in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, in other words, our lineage. So Bhagavad Gita, it's taking up the real spirit of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And that is the spirit of devotion. So what is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? What is the spirit of it? What's the whole goal of hearing from the Bhagavad Gita? And what is it really all about? And it's actually meant for us, for devotees of God, as instructions, like a manual, like a guidebook, how to navigate in the world, how to actually understand the purpose of why we're here and the goal of our existence. So without a firm understanding of our purpose and our goal in life, it says that the soul will always remain somehow restless. In other words, we may be doing different practices, but until we are fully immersed in pure love of God, there will still be that restlessness in the soul, and that will manifest in the mind, in the heart, in the ego. In other words, the mind will still have its feelings of anxiety and distress and stress and negative thinking, feeling, and willing to some degree. So until we really fully take up the purpose of our life, which is given to us in these books like the Bhagavad Gita, then we have to see that restlessness will still be there. It will still agitate the heart. It will still disturb our mind. And it will still affect the ego. In other words, our real ego is, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, but when we're not really fully trying to utilize the purpose of our life for becoming pure and lovers of God, then we will feel like, some sort of agitation will be there, still remaining. So in order to get that out fully, then we have to fully embrace instructions that are given to us as a guide manual, like the Bhagavad Gita. So it's for that purpose, to actually deliver the whole of mankind from their nescience, material existence. There's always some kind of ignorance that influences the living entities in the material world. And so the Bhagavad Gita is meant to annihilate, to dissipate, to do away with ignorance. And it's the ignorance that gives so much misery in material life. So to be able to imbibe Bhagavad Gita and have that come to our hearts and have the message of the Gita dissipate that ignorance, to dissolve it, to have it go away, it will give us so much relief. It's just like if someone has some sort of disease. So if you can somehow cure the disease, dissipate the disease in the body, then there's some relief. So there's also a disease that covers the soul and covers the mind, the pure mind and the pure ego. And that is this ignorance. So Bhagavad Gita is meant to bring us out of that ignorance and out of the miseries that disturb us. So very important. So Arjuna, he actually, if you don't know about the history of the Gita, basically Krishna speaks to his friend Arjuna before a battle begins to give him the knowledge of why he should serve God, even as a soldier, to establish righteousness on the planet. How he should fight for righteousness. So Arjuna, he actually understands that he needs to surrender. So this whole idea of surrendering is very liberating, because in the material world, the ignorance factor is so powerful that we think in almost like a comatose state, that, I'm comfortable in the material world. But the surrendering process of trying to purify your life and make your life godly is helping you to rise above this comatose state of ignorance and to get out of the miseries that it causes. It causes, ignorance doesn't cause bliss, it causes a lot of suffering. So Arjuna, after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he agrees to surrender to Krishna. And there's so many nice inquiries in the Gita to help us in the human form of life. It says that unless you inquire intelligently into why am I here, why am I suffering, who am I, who's God, and what's this material existence, unless we actually ask intelligent questions, unless we actually inquire in the human form of life, it says that it's no better than animal existence. Because the human form of life is meant especially to be able to take consciousness, to take mind and intelligence and ego and utilize it to inquire, why? Why am I here? Who am I? You know, what's going on? And why am I suffering? You know, if we don't even think that it's a place where we're temporarily in a body and suffering, then we're in like that comatose state of ignorance. So a human form of life is meant to utilize this capacity to inquire. And so Bhagavad Gita helps us in these inquiries. I mean, I remember when I first started reading it as a student and then as a teacher, every single question that I had that I couldn't answer through all the philosophies and everything else that I studied for, 20 plus years, Bhagavad Gita just answered all my questions. And it's that kind of a guidebook. It's like, it's realized knowledge, so it's very mystical. It's a kind of study where, you have inquiries about your own life, and you pick up Bhagavad Gita, and you will find your questions answered. If you're really sincere in your heart, and you're looking, to sincerely inquire beyond just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then you're going to find answers in this transcendental treatise. And it expands. It's like every time you read the Bhagavad Gita, it will expand in your consciousness. It's not like if you read a mundane book, you read it, okay, and that's that. But when you read something that's on the transcendental platform, that's not different than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, every time you read another word from the Bhagavad Gita, it starts to ignite the soul with expanding consciousness, with Krishna consciousness. It's like watering an eternal lotus flower that's meant to keep blossoming, your flower of love of God. So it's very, very special like that. And in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada is presenting, he quotes from the Gita Mahatmya, which is quite interesting, different shlokas or verses about the Bhagavad Gita, which you might like to hear. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. So, how much purifying it is, right? We all have, we're going through karmic reactions in life, and how can we eventually become free from all of this? So we need to take shelter of Bhagavad Gita. And one verse that helps us, which you may recognize, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So how do you navigate through material existence without these karmic reactions coming? So Krishna is telling Arjuna, just surrender, give yourself to this life of service, eternal loving service, and see how in the surrendering process, all these sinful reactions that are coming from, so many millions of lives of karma, how they can be dissipated. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So we see that dirt and material life, we get absorbed in mundane activities that really aren't necessary for the human form of life. And so there is this contamination or this dirt that comes from engaging in the material world in a way that is not meant to be. It's like unnatural. We're engaging, using our mind, body, senses, and intelligence in a very unnatural way, a way that has nothing to do with our soul, right? We're just absorbed in the bodily concept of life. So we start living very artificially. You can see that today in the world that due to artificial living, you have a world with so much pollution, so much trouble, right? Things aren't very clean, and the air, water, the soil, and this is because of unnatural, ungodly living. So Bhagavad Gita is meant to, like the Ganga, the Ganges, the holy waters, to cleanse that, to purify us from that. One who drinks the water of the Ganges attains salvation. So what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the essential nectar of the Mahabharata, and it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, the original Vishnu. So Bhagavad Gita comes from Krishna himself, right? So it's none different than him, and coming from the Lord's mouth himself. So very, very purifying. This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like a cow. And Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf. And learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So in this world today, people are interested in a kind of a global society, getting together with common interests, like maybe countries are trying to have a global economy, different one currency or this, that. So different ideas, materialistic ideas about having a global world, but that really comes from the sense of having a oneness or one kind of will and desire with the supreme absolute truth, to have a connection, like every living entity has a connection with Krishna, with the divine, with the supreme personalities of Godhead. So this is our desire to have this kind of oneness and connection. And then in the material world, that desire to have that oneness and connection gets perverted as, okay, let's have a global world where we're all going to make a lot of money and we'll have one big currency, everybody uses the same, and the whole thing based on money and body and competition, things like that. So our real oneness, our real way of connecting is with these instructions from the Bhagavad Gita, to have oneness with that personality that we are part and parcel of. So we are part and parcel of Krishna, of the divine supreme person. So also to be able to see the commonality amongst people in the world of having one kind of prayer. What is one prayer that we can all say, that we can all agree upon, that will give us, spiritual consciousness. So in this day and age, that one prayer is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, chanting the holy names. In this age, it's considered the most powerful way of connecting with the Supreme. And so in this way, taking the Bhagavad Gita as like our common scripture, taking our understanding of our commonality with all people, that we're all parts and parcels of God, and that we have a common eternal spiritual hymn. This Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, just like the Gita is eternal. It's a mantra that's never not existed. It's an eternal mantra that's been, through the cosmos, all the material universes, from time immemorial. So by seeing this oneness, this wonderful kind of way that human beings on this earth planet can have a real feeling of oneness based on divinity is a very important factor, because mostly material world is trying to be divisive, right? Competitive, divisive, and based on bodily considerations. So Bhagavad Gita presents a way of understanding the science of the soul, so how we can be as one, in the sense of we are one in quality with Krishna, we are one in quality with all living entities, we're all complete individuals, but we have this commonality. So this is one wonderful aspect of the Gita Jayanti month, that it helps people in the world to connect to a divine commonality. So if anybody is interested to be part of this, you can come and see Nidra Krishna Arvind Sundari or any of the devotees and see what we're doing during the month. And if you'd like to be part of the world distribution of the Bhagavad Gitas to uplift the planet and also to uplift yourselves, you can contribute towards the distribution of Bhagavad Gitas. You don't have to distribute them yourselves. We can do it for you. Or if you'd like to distribute them, you can also do that as well. But it's a special opportunity to be part of a divine upliftment. And so some things are a little bit more subtle, especially extremely subtle when it comes to the spiritual level. Like we think, oh, well, how is this kind of upliftment, possible by distributing books? But if you have something that is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you're given the privilege to distribute it or be part of that distribution, then you know that you are being uplifted and touched and purified and blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So this is something that takes a little appreciation of the importance of divinity coming through the scriptures, the shastras, the literatures, and it doesn't have to be sectarian, right? There's a lot of different scriptures, but if you find yourself wanting to delve into beyond just the ABCs of the science of the soul, then you should try to study Bhagavad Gita and see what you can find within the Gita as an eternal presentation of love of God. So the Gita gives that ultimate goal and purpose, which is loving service to the Supreme. And until that goal and that purpose is fully situated in the heart, like we were saying, there will always be some kind of restlessness. There will always be some kind of agitation. Why? Because we're meant to, be like pushed as valuable living entities in the human form of life. It's a very, very valuable form of life. It's extremely valuable. And so we need a little bit of push to see that we need to take up this study that will help us. If we're so comfortable in the material world, then we'll just go for comfort. But if we see that there's still this restlessness within me, and how do I deal with that? how do I dissipate that? So Bhagavad Gita gives us the way to navigate through our life so that we become fully Krishna conscious. And that's the only way that the soul is completely without that restlessness, that material restlessness. So only love can dissipate that. So love of Godhead, the soul's relationship with the Lord is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. How we come to execute that relationship in our everyday life is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is just a little a hint, a little intro, and so you can hear more as we go on during the month. And I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything they want to add.
Thanks for a wonderful class. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions to abandon all forms of religion and surrender unto him. So I was just wondering if you could touch on this. Like, does that mean people who practice the Jewish faith should abandon that? If people who have a different type of accessing God, should they abandon that and just become into the Krishna fold? Or is there like a sort of a universal way to synthesize both?
So when Krishna says abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, what does that mean? Does that mean that, say, if I'm on one particular faith, that I have to give that up and just, practice what Krishna says, right? So we have an eternal religion or dharma or way of being that's based on the soul, right? So Prabhupada would say, if you're practicing religion and you're experiencing that you're becoming purified and you're loving God, okay, that's all right. Keep going, right? Because what we're looking for is the Sanatan Dharma, ultimately that love, to love the Supreme Lord purely. If we find that how we're navigating through our practices in life that we're not getting there, then we should reach out. I mean, this is my own experience, that I wasn't getting there. So I knew there has to be something to reach out to. And then fortunately, I was studying, Srila Prabhupada's books. So if you're happy, with what you're doing, that's fine. But what you want to do is you want to attain your eternal nature. In other words, we're beyond American, we're beyond Indian, we're beyond a Catholic, a Protestant, a Jew, Islam, Buddhist. Those are all like temporary designations, right? But if we're engaged in a practice where we're getting out of this temporary consciousness and getting purified so that we understand that we're meant as eternal spiritual beings to love God, so fine. But see if that's really happening. Is it really happening in your practice? And then also, too, something interesting to think about is that Krishna himself comes in the Kali Yuga as Lord Chaitanya to explain that this is the best way to execute developing pure love of God by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. But if someone finds, chanting another name of God suits them, that's fine. But it is very significant to consider that Krishna himself comes and gives the instruction. This is how you should do it in this age. So there's a lot of significance in that. Why would he bother to come and explain that this is how you execute your eternal Sanatan Dharma in this age. So that's something to think about. But Prabhupada was never like sectarian and, dogmatic. He'd say, okay, you feel like you're progressing and developing love of God, that's fine. But if you don't feel you are, and you're still feeling that restlessness, then he said, then we understand that Krishna himself has come to give us that very process that gets right to the whole root of it all. So anyway, one way to look at it. Give this.
Hey, do you want to say something? Do you want to announce about the Parade of Lights, maybe?
Oh yeah, okay. So Ishavatar Prabhu, he's our Harinam leader. And we are going to do an event this Saturday, the 8th, right? It's called the Parade of Lights. It's a parade in downtown Denver. And we're going to do Harinam, chanting the holy names at this parade, and distributing candy prasadam and pamphlets. And so we'll be meeting here at 4 o'clock approximately that Saturday, December 8th afternoon. And then we're going to go downtown and meet at approximately 5 o'clock at 16th Street Mall and Tremont, because that's where we're going to start on the parade route. There's a specific parade route that goes through downtown. And what we do is we start on the route about 45 minutes before the parade starts so that we have a captive audience. In other words, everybody is waiting for the parade. You can't really chant Hare Krishna and have people benefit and appreciate it during the parade. So we chant before the parade, go through the sidewalks as the people are waiting, for the parade, and so they get to hear the chanting. It's a wonderful way to share Krishna consciousness. So if anyone would like to come, that would be fun. Yeah.
It's December 7th.
December 7th.
It's the 7th, Saturday the 7th.
Is Saturday the 7th?
Yeah, this next Saturday.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's Saturday. Anything else before we have the kirtan? So thanks. I hope everyone can be part of this Gita Jayanti month in some way. You can feel the happiness. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.